When most people think about anxiety, they picture someone having a panic attack or feeling overwhelmed with fear. But anxiety isn't always loud. Sometimes it looks like overthinking. Sometimes it looks like perfectionism. Sometimes it looks like constantly preparing for the worst. And many people live with anxiety every day without realizing just how much it influences the way they think, feel, and respond to the world around them. Anxiety is often described as fear, but it's much more than that. It can include worry, nervousness, uneasiness, dread, restlessness, and persistent what if thinking. It can be triggered by rational concerns as well as irrational fears. Sometimes there's a real problem that needs your attention. Other times your brain simply perceives danger, even when there isn't an immediate threat. And that's where many people become confused. So if the danger isn't actually there, why does anxiety still feel so real? The answer has a lot to do with how our emotional brain works. Many people believe that if they know something logically, they shouldn't still feel anxious. But anxiety doesn't work that way. For example, you can know logically you'll probably do well on the presentation and still feel nervous. You can know your loved one is likely okay and still imagine something awful has happened. Logic and emotion don't always move at the same speed. Our emotional brain can stay activated long after our logical brain has already examined the facts. Part of the reason is that emotions are incredibly powerful, and when they're intense, they can become very convincing. Anxiety also creates physical sensations such as your heart races, your muscles tighten, your breathing changes, your stomach feels uneasy. And because these sensations feel so real, we often assume they must be telling us something true. I feel scared, so something bad must be happening. But feelings aren't always facts. Many anxious thoughts are built on assumptions, cognitive distortions, or thought traps, and not evidence. Once anxiety convinces us that those thoughts are true, something else begins to happen. Our imagination starts doing what anxiety does best, and that is catastrophic thinking. Anxiety loves to ask, what if? What if I fail? What if they reject me? What if something terrible happens? And once your brain answers one question, anxiety quickly creates another. And before long, you're rehearsing disaster after disaster. Each scenario feels believable. Each possibility feels urgent. And the longer your mind rehearses danger, the longer your nervous system stays activated. What's interesting is that none of this has to be visible to other people. In fact, anxiety often hides in plain sight. Many people assume anxiety is obvious, but often it isn't. Someone can go to work every day, take care of their family, smile, meet deadlines, and still struggle with constant anxious thoughts. They may look calm on the outside, while their mind never truly rests. And while our thoughts play a major role in anxiety, they aren't the whole story. The environment around us can also keep anxiety alive. Anxiety can be triggered and worsened by unhealthy environments, a toxic workplace, an emotionally unhealthy relationship, a chaotic home, constant criticism, unreasonable demands and expectations, high conflict. And when your nervous system is repeatedly exposed to stress, it begins expecting danger. You become hypervigilant, on high alert, and this can start to feel normal. Living in survival mode long enough changes more than your stress level. It also changes the way you see yourself. Anxiety talks you out of your strengths. It fills your mind with self-doubt. It minimizes everything you've already survived. Instead of remembering your resilience, your brain focuses on everything that could go wrong. And over time, this reinforces the hypervigilance. You're constantly scanning for danger, always anticipating problems, finding it difficult to relax, hard to stay present, and hard to fully enjoy life because your brain keeps preparing for threats that haven't happened. But understand that anxiety isn't something you're powerless against, no matter how powerless you feel. There are practical ways to retrain both your mind and your nervous system. And the way to do so effectively is learning 3 major skills, including recognizing anxious thoughts without automatically believing them, but instead learning cognitive strategies to challenge and change thought traps. It's practicing self-soothing skills such as grounding and mindfulness that calm your nervous system. And it's gradually facing fears through healthy exposure instead of avoidance. I like to call this the do it anyway approach. And not because the fear disappears, but because you decide fear doesn't get to make every decision. Understand that this never means ignoring real danger and threat. If there is genuine evidence that a situation is physically, mentally, emotionally unsafe, protecting yourself is always the healthiest choice. The do it anyway approach applies when anxiety, not reality, is convincing you that you can't cope. Every time you move forward despite anxiety, you're teaching your brain a powerful lesson, and that is, I can feel anxious and still handle this. And sometimes the healthiest coping skill is saying no, being assertive, setting healthy boundaries, protecting your time, your energy, and your peace. Because if your environment continues creating unnecessary stress, your nervous system will continue responding to it. Sometimes healing means learning better coping skills, and sometimes healing means walking away from what's continually harming you. Anxiety can make possibilities feel like certainties, and it can make fears feel like facts when this is not always true. Instead, it's your brain's interpretation of reality in that moment. But with healthier thinking patterns, supportive environments, healthy coping skills, and consistent practice, anxiety doesn't have to control your life. You can acknowledge it, challenge it, calm it, and continue moving forward, even when fear tries to convince you not to.